So in this video on charts within Microsoft Dynamics 365 for Sales, we're going to cover off the different types of personal charts you can build. Now, this is one in the series we've done specifically on charts. You can see links to others in the series below. Also, if you've got suggested content ideas or you need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, please see the links below. So let's go through the different options you've got in terms of chart building. So I'm going to do it in the opportunities area because this is probably best test data we can use for charts within the Microsoft system. So first thing I'm going to do is start to build a new chart. So just click on the three dots there, click new, and we'll go into the chart builder. And we are going to call this Richard Test. Let's say 7. And I'm just going to put in a series field and a category field, and I'm going to do estimated revenue by sales stage, and I'm going to keep that constant, and we're just going to show the different charts options we've got. So we said estimated revenue, and we said sales stage. We've got to scroll down for, there we go, sales stage. And by default, it's picked up the first of these, which is the column chart. Now, I've got the option of a standard column or a stacked column. If I need a stacked column, I need to add another category to it. We did a separate video on stacked column or stacked bar or stacked area charts previously, so I'm not going to go into that again. Obviously, there's links to that particular video below. So a standard column chart, it's kind of rendered there, but I'm going to save and close it just so that you can see that appearing against a set of data. There we go, that's appeared against my open opportunities view. Obviously I could change that view if I wanted to show it against a different view. And that's rendered that data, 15,000 with no stage, 55,000 in develop, 26,000 in propose, 62,000 in qualify. So that's the column chart. If I wanted to change that, let's go into edit, and we can now display this as a bar chart. Again, we've got the same concept, bar, stack bar, 100% stacked bar. We've covered that stacking concept before, so let's just show it as a plain bar chart. Well, not quite sure. This is more of a horizontal depiction of the column chart. Again, not hugely different, but may suit some data sets. So I'm going to save and close that and just show that against my open opportunities. Let's go back in and show what the other opportunities might be. Let's go to edit. And say I did want to sort of go through the pros and cons of the different charts here, but in truth, because it's a personal chart, it's really down to you to what you feel projects or surfaces the data that you want to surface. So in other words, what works for you. So I don't think there's necessarily strengths and weaknesses. There are some features. One thing I would say that if you're using sort of adding series or categories or more than one, then that limits your choice. So for example, that's not going to work for pie charts or funnels. If you do that, those will grey out and you haven't got the options there. But as I've got quite simple chart criteria, all of them are available to me now. So I've got the area chart. Again, I've got area, stacked area, 100% stacked area. We've talked about stacking before. So I'll just show a plain area chart, and I'll save and close that. And the only difference is if I want to do the drill down, I do have to sort of click on the little a sort of circle that appears at the tips of the various sort of inflection points of the chart, rather than just click on the column. So that's area. I can now just edit that, and I've got a line chart version. So again, very, very similar. I'll save and close that. Again, you can see that against that open opportunities data set. Again, very similar to what we've seen before. Let's edit that again. And now we move on to something slightly different, the pie chart. I do like a pie chart, particularly if you've got a relatively limited number of values. So if I save and close that, I've got my pie chart displaying. Obviously, if pie charts you've got sort of 20 different options here, then it's a bit difficult to interpret the chart, but I think it's quite good if you've got a relatively small set of options. We've only got 4 options here: blank, develop, propose, qualify, so it seems to work quite well. If we now edit that again, I've got the option of a funnel, and I'll render that just by saving, closing it, and applying that against the data set. And this is typically used more on the sales funnel side of things, when you want to display a sort of opportunity pipeline where it starts at sort of lead inquiry, goes through the pipeline until you get your end sale. So it tends to work well for that. Probably could work well for other things that sort of follow that sort of process approach, but that's the pipeline. If I just click edit again, sorry, that was the funnel chart. I renamed it there. Relatively new one. I haven't noticed this much before, but we've got the tag chart, which I'm just going to show and save and close that and display that. Not fantastically useful here. It just sort of shows the data set in different blocks with the numbers attached to it. If you've got a lot of values, if let's say you were looking at what we showed before was a pie chart, and that seemed to work quite well because we had a limited number of values. But if you had sort of 20 different values, that pie, particularly if some of those values were quite small, that pie chart would be quite difficult to interpret. But kind of this sort of bank of tags of the various different options with a number against those, that's quite powerful. So that certainly has its uses. And the last option we've got is the donut chart, which I will show you, and it kind of just shows the percentage, if you a sort of a portion of the overall donut that particular stage occupies. So the blank stage occupies that much, the blue amount, develop that much, the blue amount, propose again the blue amounts on those. One thing I've noticed, if that increases, and I'm not entirely sure how many different values it takes to increase that, probably not too much more, but if I actually go and show this against all opportunities where there's more stages, it actually kind of morphs from having those 4 separate rings into a single ring. Anyway, that's a quick sort of run through the various different charting options. As I said, we're going to cover the strengths and weaknesses of them, but in truth I think it's more, these are personal charts you're building, and I think it's very much about personal taste in terms of what you feel conveys the underlying data best. Anyway, hopefully that's been useful. So it's one in a series that we've done specifically on charts. You can see links to others in the series below. Also, if you've got any suggested content ideas or you need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, please see the links below. Thank you very much for your time today, and hopefully see you again soon.